What is up, guys? This is Kip, and today I'm going to be doing Scalp Pull Part 2, prioritizing respect and momentum. If you haven't seen Part 1 yet, then click the little link right up around here somewhere so you can go ahead and watch this whole thing in order. If you already caught up though, then without further ado, let's get into it. Despite its name, the scalp pull is effective on every single time frame on any asset that you're trading, whether you're a day trader or a swing trader. It's a straightforward approach for maximizing your precision with your entry points and your invalidations. Even if you already have another TA methodology that you're most comfortable with, it's still the perfect tool for honing in on your specific points of interest with greater accuracy. Let's first talk about how to pull the fibs correctly. There's a few key methods for how we can choose the right pivot to pull to, but the most important factor for all of them is respect. Respect will be the main topic of this video. Method 1, we pull it to the swing high or swing low wick. This is the first place that we look, but it's not always the most accurate. If it isn't well respected, then look for a better option. Method 2, we pull it to the momentum candle that broke its local range, channel, or consolidation pattern. Method 3, it's similar to method 2, but on line chart. We pull it to the momentum ledge. Where did price fall off its cliff from the ledge? Alternatively, simply just pull it to a blank space wherever it's getting the most respect on the 3-4 and the kickback zone. What may look like thin air on one time frame is typically one of the above other methods on a lower time frame. We'll dive more into that later. Let's take a look at the February 2022 Bitcoin range on the daily chart and utilize the methods that I just went over. Method 1, pulling to the swing high. This one is not really getting respected that much, so we'll just scrap it. Method 2, pulling it to the momentum pivot. This pivot point here was the catalyst for price to break away from its previous channel or consolidation pattern. And we do notice a small channel forming here from the high and an obvious momentum pivot that led to a break in that channel. This pull is a little bit better, but I would prefer a 3-4 tap over the 1-7-8 tap, so let's see if we can still find a better one. Method 3, going to line chart and finding the ledge. We can see our obvious ledge here that led to the fall off the cliff. So let's go ahead and pick this one and then throw our candles back on. This one is giving perfect respect on the 3-4, and that's exactly what we're looking for here. Let's lock this one in to be our number 1 higher time frame pull for bias. We'll assume that the bulls who invested into this move will want to support this kickback zone in order to get up to their targets. With our higher time frame bias in check now, this is the first area where we can start looking for long positions. We'll mark a green support box around this kickback zone and a red resistance box between that 618 and the -1. As we go forward in time here, we can see price wicking down through the kickback, but still ultimately respecting it when it came to the candle bodies. If we look on the line chart, it's still very well respected, and that's all that we care about. So let's continue forward and use some of this new price data in order to get a medium time frame pull that also matches up with our higher time frame pull for confluence. We have several options here coming from this next swing low right here. The most obvious being the same method that we used from our first pull, where we take it to the ledge. This pull is being respected perfectly from its golden pocket levels and the kickback zone. However, it doesn't quite help us get to our targets, so let's see if we can find something a little bit better. Ideally, a pull that gives us respect on the 3-4. This next part is extremely important here, and it goes back to our number 1 priority: respect is king. I mentioned earlier that an alternative to the other methods of how to pull the fibs can be just pull it to a place that's getting the most respect. As we drag it up into no man's land here, there's an interesting place where this wick and both of the following candle bodies are respecting the 3-4 almost perfectly. And since the kickback from this pull is also being respected, let's actually hang on to this one as our medium time frame pull for bias, and we'll box out a new target area once again. Now you might be asking right now,
but Kip, why are we just pulling the fibs to a random spot on the chart just to make it fit? That just seems subjective and inconsistent.
and that's a totally valid point because I did say in my introduction video that this methodology should be objective. But let's keep an open mind here and dive into why a little bit more. As I said at the beginning of part 1, I believe a lot of these scalp pull reactions are algo driven, meaning that larger traders are using some type of algorithm to assist them in price moving towards their desired entry and exit targets where they could scale in and out along the way in order to maximize their R&R. Sometimes it's just a simple pivot that we pull to that ends up getting the most respect, but other times it's in the general area and somewhere along the way that's not an actual pivot. Who are we to try and speculate exactly how these algos are programmed? But the good thing is that we don't have to. The goal for us here is just looking for the best pull that these algorithms might be programmed to. And seeing the respect of the levels gives us all of the information that we need here. Of course, this is just theoretical, so we can remain skeptical for now, but move to a lower time frame and try to make a little more sense of it. As we switch to the 1 hour time frame and change to a line chart, we can actually see a momentum pivot ledge here, which led to the break of the previous range and market structure. So let's move our pull to that exact ledge. Now, we can see near perfect respect again from the 3-4 and the kickback zone. So let's adjust our medium time frame boxes for this small change. Now that we have a refined zone where our medium time frame and our high time frame targets are both matching up together, let's take this just one step further and also find a third pull to give us a low time frame investment to match up with the medium and the high time frame. This will give us a holy trinity of confluence. At minimum, we would want to see at least 2 different timeframes of targets matching up in order to feel confident about taking a trade. But having a third will help us refine our zone even more and give us more confirmation. Starting from the swing low on March 14th, we can see a pull to the lower high ledge that gave great respect of the 3-4. The 1, 2, 3, 6 of this pull though doesn't quite make it up to our other timeframes of targets. And if this lower timeframe pull doesn't match up with our other timeframe pull, then it doesn't help us that much. It could still be useful, so I won't delete it, but I will hide it for now and just see if there's something better. If we use the same logic as our medium timeframe pull and look for a place where the 3-4 was respected a little bit lower, then this could be a nice answer for us, but we will need to throw on our extended fib targets. I'll go ahead and pick the place here that's respecting both the 178 and the 3-4 nicely. Now let's mark out a new low time frame target box for these extended targets. Between the 1706 and the 2236, we now have a nicely refined zone where all 3 timeframes of targets have all come together. If the high time frame, the medium time frame, and the low time frame investments from this range are all taking profits in this exact zone, then we could probably imagine that it might be too much sell pressure for price to be able to continue up through it. This is exactly why we can start looking for a sign of weakness and a short opportunity. Your bias will always be for all of the timeframes that you're looking at for target zones to get tapped into. If we're right with our pulls, then price will most likely see a rejection from the area that is the brightest shade of red from the cluster of all 3 of our timeframes of targets coming together. So let's make a new box just for that refined zone, and we'll hide the 3 others. Lastly, let's throw on all of the fibs that we've used so far today. We already have a zone that we're confident in, but when seeing everything at once, we might notice a tight cluster or two that could end up being relevant for us. Since there's an extremely tight cluster here around 47 or 47.5K area, there's 4 or 5 fib levels right in that zone. I'm gonna go ahead and make an additional box here just for that little zone. As I said earlier, I do expect price to come into my higher box here so that it can hit the targets from all 3 different investments of targets. However, this could still be an interesting zone to look for like a general SR flip level. We'll hide the fib levels again, so we're just left with our 2 main boxes. If we don't want both of these 2 boxes here, we could draw a new box that kind of envelops both of them, and we'll add the midline on that new box. This just depends on your personal preference. Once price finally reaches our zone here and we see rejections, market structure breaks, and backtests, this is when we can finally look to execute our short trade. If we're a swing trader, we could take the trade right here after just seeing a few daily rejection wicks, or we could use the same logic that we've discussed thus far to hone in on our lower time frames like the 4-hour chart and get a more precise entry and invalidation. In part 3 next week, I'll dive a little bit more into the momentum aspect of all of this and how we can utilize it not just for our pulls, but also to execute our trades. I'll shift a lot more of my focus to trade setups and executions rather than just theory. Thank you guys, and if you like this, make sure to give us a like here, leave a comment if you have any questions about anything, and make sure to hit the bell notification and subscribe so you don't miss any of my coming videos in the next coming weeks or months. Again, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you, and until next time, I'll see you later.